Good afternoon to you. Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com with your Hurricane Pro and HD video blog for Sunday, the 14th of June, 2015. Let's take a look at what's going on out there at Invest Area 91L, poised over the Yucatan Peninsula, any weak area of surface low pressure area located there. And then this is the 5-day forecast track potential area over the next few days. This is the potential track area or formation area that this could move into. Kind of ambiguous as to exactly what this is showing, but kind of saying, okay, this is where it is now, and this is where this entire mess could be over the next several days while it tries to form. This is a satellite animation of it, and you can see not very well organized. Kind of looks like maybe an upper level low sitting in here with convection on the east side. That's what it reminds me of. Not your typical tropical cyclogenesis seedling, and that's just a fancy way of saying normally we look for these tropical waves that come through the Caribbean and maybe work their way into the Gulf and develop. And they do. They look like these inverted V shapes or these curves or waves of low pressure in the atmosphere. And this really isn't that. And so it takes a little longer, and the process for this to develop is a little bit more complex. Meanwhile, there's Tropical Storm Carlos just off the Mexican coastline, creating rather inclement weather for that region, but it's a small system, and it went from being a hurricane to a tropical storm, and it may get to hurricane strength again, but the close proximity here to the Mexican coastline and the fact that it's upwelling water underneath itself because of the slow movement should keep it from becoming too strong, but a big rain threat for that area nonetheless. Speaking of rain, I think you can clearly see these low clouds here streaming into Texas. Lots and lots of moisture coming in well ahead of 91L. So whether or not this develops into a named storm, a tremendous plume of moisture is headed for this region, and it'll kind of go up and around the backside of this large high pressure area that's dominating the weather over the southeast right now. If we look at the track guidance, now this is assuming we have a low-level center. This does not tell us where all that rain is going to go. This tells us that if we had a center of circulation over the northern Yucatan, these are the likely paths that it could take according to each of these various models. If we kind of look right down the middle here, if you will, sort of try to find an average, you see that it takes it towards the central Texas coastline in 48 to 60, maybe 70 hours or so. That, if it were to come to pass exactly, would keep southwest Louisiana and the upper Texas coast on the right-hand side of the track, and that's typically the onshore flow side where you have coastal flooding issues possible along some of the lower-lying roadways in Texas and Louisiana. You think about Holly Beach, Bolivar Peninsula, those areas. And it also means a lot of abundant moisture literally being slung on shore by that counterclockwise flow right up into areas that simply don't need it right now. In fact, if we look at the National Weather Service map, some coastal flood advisories already for southwest Louisiana and the upper Texas coastline. Then you have flooding going on already near San Antonio and the Austin area, all related to this surge of moisture that's coming in off the Gulf, regardless of 91L and what it does. And this area is just going to fill in more and more with these greens and reds indicating flooding issues. And I believe that we're going to see this extend up through this region over time as all this moisture comes in off the Gulf of Mexico and comes into the region that's already been soaked with lots and lots of rainfall going back to May. So a lot going on out there with 91L. Let's take a look at Carlos in the eastern Pacific. Like I said, it's a tropical storm again, so it's no longer a hurricane. Here's the forecast track over the next several days. National Hurricane Center suggesting that this will come into Mexico. There's still a pretty good chance, though, too, that it'll just kind of skirt the coast and die out before reaching the Gulf of California. Nevertheless, moisture here as well, going to work its way inland over parts of Mexico, creating the potential for flash flooding and mudslides over the mountainous terrain. A very active pattern, all related to this strong Madden Julian oscillation, upward motion pulse that came through that we had to deal with, and that's just saying we had this very favorable period of upper level winds that produced a couple of typhoons in the western Pacific, powerful hurricanes Andres and Blanca in the eastern Pacific, then Carlos, and now sort of the tail end of it trying to spawn this 91L, which may or may not become a tropical depression or a storm, and that's going to bring a lot of moisture to Texas and so forth. So you see, a very busy time of it, even though we don't have a hurricane on the map to be concerned with. There are plenty of other things with what we do have with Carlos and 91L to keep our attention focused over the next few days. All right, well, that's it from me for today. I'll be back tomorrow, Monday, with another look at the tropics. Again, I am Mark Sudduth for HurricaneTrack.com and Hurricane Pro in HD. We'll talk again tomorrow.